This morning, and of course, not very good news in your county. Yesterday, we saw some images of an area called Chesogon. We understand that it's at the border of Elgeyo, Marakwet, and West Pokot County. Perhaps you can draw us a picture on the latest in as far as this crisis is concerned. What happened and where are we at the moment?
Thank you for calling this morning. We are doing the recoveries at the moment. The pictures you saw yesterday displayed exactly what took place on Saturday afternoon at around 3 to 4, when the whole area just caved in and it came downstream and swept a whole town called Chesogon. Chesogon is in my county, and where the action came from was San Palat. San Palat is in Elgeyo, Marakwet. We are neighbors at the border. The river is between the two counties. Mm-hmm. So right now, because the whole town was wiped out, mm-hmm. homesteads flattened, mm-hmm. property destroyed, no food, no clothing, no nothing. People have been crowded in a school called Yeptulel Primary, Yeptulel Boys Secondary School, and Arpolo Primary School. We have since recovered a body of a man, and remember we lost a good number of our security officers who are in their camp. Mm-hmm. We are still checking to see whether it was one of them, the body that was recovered late last night, mm-hmm. or it belonged to one of the men. Mm-hmm. We have not accounted for two ladies, one of them being a university graduate who just finished the other day. Mm. We are still a good number of injuries. We have referred them to Kapenguria, about 6 of them. Right. And then others were taken across to Elgeyo, Marakwet. So we are going back now after this, but I came to look for beddings, mm-hmm. clothing, and food for those that are camping outside. Right. And yesterday, the president dispatched a team with food. They also arriving this morning. Mm-hmm. The army chopper will arrive this morning. And medical personnel also from mm-hmm. West Pokot, Elgeyo, Marakwet, and another team may come from Narok. So this is the story of the tragedy that shook everybody here. Right. And do you know the number of people that have been displaced, and how many are you hosting at these two institutions that you mentioned? At the moment, we are hosting nearly a whole sub-location called Lepei sub-location mm-hmm. in Yeptulel location. Mm-hmm. Crowded right now, as I speak to you, are about 1,000 people. Remember, we are in a terrible season called Corona problem. Right. So we have split a number of them into the 3 schools, the way you have mentioned. Mm-hmm. Arpolo Primary School. Some are in Arpolo Dispensary, those who went for medication. Mm-hmm. Yeptulel Secondary School, mm-hmm. and Yeptulel Primary School. Others ran to their neighbors upstream in the hill, a location called West Pokot, mm-hmm. and Lomut. So this day 3 now, we may see some of them coming back. You know, they ran without clothes, whatever they had on is what they own now. Right. So we are likely to see more estimate of people, mm-hmm. and equally a huge number on the other side of the other county, Elgeyo, Marakwet. So it's a tragedy that affected the community, and that is the region that embraced peace. The only peace accord that has been signed in the valley was done around Chesogon, where I was one of the participants. Mm-hmm. And God gave us peace enough in that valley. And I think the devil and the enemy was not happy. And this is how death has come this side. Right. But we think we can pick up our pieces and begin to reorganize our lives again. Of course, with the support of prayers and everybody coming to stand with us.
Right, and our sympathies come to you, Governor, and the people of West Pokot and the neighboring counties. Yesterday we heard from the regional coordinator, Mr. George Natembe. He was saying that as of yesterday, at least four people had died, and then those that were missing were 23. I don't know, specific to your county, how many have you confirmed to have died, and how many would you say are still missing as we speak?
I don't know whether the number the RC gave you was cumulative of the two. Possible he gave you the, first of all, 3 were already confirmed dead on the other side of Marakwet yesterday night. Mm-hmm. And now I've told you 2, I've told you a man has been, the body of a man has been recovered from this side of West Pokot. Mm-hmm. We have 2 ladies confirmed missing, and they were in the mud. People saw them being driven downstream.
Right.
So we think, because this is day 3, there's a possibility they are buried in the mud. So in West Pokot, no less than 3. But by evening today, we come in contact again. We'll tell you precisely when people have counted one another. Those who were taken off to far places will have come, and those who will not have come will have been counted and deemed lost. So together with the national government, we are dispatching excavators to go to site mm-hmm. to assist in removal of debris, to see if there is any remnants of bodies, any bodies can be traced and removed. Mm-hmm.
And of course, Prof, this is the second time in, I believe, 6 months, because in November last year we had a similar, or actually another slide in West Pokot County that killed over 40. And it appears like it's becoming a normal calamity in that county. So what precaution are you preaching to the people of West Pokot that they need to take to protect themselves? Because looking at some of the images that we saw on Saturday, you would see some very determined people that wanted to have their motorbikes cross the river, and of course the raging waters were heavy. What precaution are you preaching to them should this happen again?
First of all, for Kenyans to know, West Pokot County is the most mountainous county in Kenya, followed by Elgeyo Marakwet, the most mountainous county, meaning because most of the land, 70 to 80% of the land is mountains, mm-hmm. you expect the people are living in those mountains. Yesterday's calamity that you just saw actually heavily occurred in Elgeyo Marakwet. Mm. But all the flow of water came to West Pokot plus the mud, plus the rocks. Right. And because we share our border, the gradient and the height of where our town was is on the lowland. So that's how it was swept. Mm-hmm. So I want to assure you that it's not only in West Pokot where this calamity has occurred last year, as you saw, but it is looking like we need to prepare as Kenyans. Anybody staying on the mountain side, mm-hmm. by the valleys, by rivers, anywhere in Kenya, including Mount Kenya, all the mountains. Mm-hmm. West Pokot have already given my people firm warning that we need to move now to safer ground. Even if you don't migrate, but your life is so key and important, so that we sit down together with the national government. If there will be need to reorganize and move people who are living on certain gradient of mountains, to avoid destruction of trees, to avoid plowing and planting of food on those islands, because even if you plant and it rains and it is wiped out by erosion, what do you have left? Mm-hmm. So those are some of the key things that we are going to look at. Fortunately, yesterday the PS for Environment, Dr. Chris Kipto, was around, and he saw for himself, and we are going to put a mechanism together with the 2 counties, plus the national government arms, mm-hmm. that deal with environment and conservation and resettlement of people. If we are able to resettle IDPs, we can also resettle this one that have been externally disturbed and displaced by nature.
Right, and Prof, obviously with the difficult situation that the county finds itself in, what exactly do you need at this time, and how are you providing for it? Are you self-sufficient? I know you mentioned about food coming from the national government and you're taking bedding there. What are the other priority areas that you need to focus on?
At the moment, the quick win will be to have food on the table, to have shelter for these people, and medication. I know it's a challenge at this time because of what we are going through. All the monies that we had, we have challenged in the preparation for this problem that we all know, this COVID, this corona problem. So you can imagine the way we are financially strained as a county and even as a nation, I suppose. So last year, you people stood with us 100%. And we are grateful to all the Kenyans. Every Kenyan prayed for us, and we got food, we got shelter, we got clothing for those, and the houses that were rebuilt for the over 500 people that were affected. They are now nearly ready. We are about to hand them over to the owners. But this new problem has arrived. But we think together the spirit that Kenyans has always had of assisting a neighbor and a brother and a kindred will always continue to be rekindled. Although I know you are also down because we are not able to do our usual business the way we normally do.
Right.
We are being able to donate whatever you have. So we are open to support from everybody. Like I mentioned, I'm heading there in a minute with some blankets and some little rice that we have. But you know that can only last for a day or two.
Right.
And I'm hoping the dispatch from Nairobi can also arrive.
And so, yes, you are in a very difficult situation. You said that you have 3 schools or 3 centers that you have, you are accommodating these people. How exactly are you observing the requirement for COVID-19, bearing in mind the cold that is in those places? How are you ensuring that the people that are affected are able to observe social distancing and proper hygiene?
That is now a question that is on our hands. Yesterday you saw the photographs. It was helter-skelter.
Right.
Everybody running to see who he or she can assist, including all of us, even the RC. All of us were just busy and praying that all goes well. By the time we saw we had rescued as many people as possible, that's when now reality was loading on us. We are also living in the corona problem. So, as you have put it correctly, I have already dispatched my public health officers who are camping with them. The Red Cross are also there to see that we manage within the limitations possible how we can observe all the regulations that have been put there. The good news is that people in Kenya, even right in the village, they already know that we have a terrible problem that doesn't have any mercy. So people are already managing themselves anyway, but it's only for us to enforce. And I think the County Commissioner of West Pokot has also dispatched more security officers to be around. So we will try the much we can. Okay. But what we need now is we may need more of face masks and sanitizers in plenty, so that people can be in such a place, so that even the place can be sanitized. I sent the team last night to go and spray some of those places, so that to fumigate the classrooms, which can be used by the people later.
All right, and Prof, so I'm looking at a schedule of the ICU beds and ventilators across different parts of the country. And West Pokot County would appear not to have any single ICU bed or even a ventilator. I don't know whether you've been able to boost the capacity of your county in responding to the coronavirus pandemic, even as you focus on what is now more immediate.
What you are saying is true. What we have at the moment is that we have the latest new isolation ward, which we had already built earlier, 15 beds. We have low-risk isolation bed in our county referral hospital for 40 beds, and 5 other sub-counties of not less than 5 beds. Now, the elephant in the room is we are working with the Ministry of the National Ministry of Health to see how we can get at least 5 or 6 ICU beds. Right. Plus the machinery to equip, and then some high dependency units. But our county assembly is already working on it. We see how we can avail some funds in the next week or so for purchase of some of those and installations and so on. It's a challenge, not only in West Pokot, but it's a stress in most counties.
So, Prof, do you know the estimate cost of these 5 or 6 ICU beds and the HDU facilities?
A complete ICU is not very cheap. It's not less than 30 million to fix an up-to-date modern ICU. I am not a medic, but that's what I'm told. So you can see that we are moving in those directions. Other challenges is because the problem has arrived and announced.
Mm-hmm.
It means tendering procedures.
Right.
Where we have to go through, we have to sit down with the PPOA to see how, and the Minister of National Minister of Health,
mm-hmm.
to see how we can shorten the procedure.
Right.
Cumulatively, so that we are also not penalized for going for direct sourcing.